I'm Tom, and I'm the director of the BASC. And as you can tell, I have a fairly informal approach. And actually, in a sense, this is one of the ways that our program kind of differs from some of the others that you'll see, because in the BASC, our students have a really close relationship with myself and my other colleagues, such as Abel, who's also in the chat. And we have ourselves a little community in our program, as I'll tell you a little bit about today. So what is the BASC exactly? In essence, our program, it gives students the opportunity to really create their own degree from across the science, social sciences and arts faculties. So we do have some limits, and I'll tell you about those later. But actually we don't have any limits in what we restrict our students to do. We're really, really interested in giving students the space to create their own degree. But you might ask why? What's the reason for that? This is what I used to look like when I had a bit more hair, but I don't look like that quite anymore, though you can tell because I'm still grey. The reason why we give students the freedom to create their own degree is because we look at the traditional way of doing degrees and the isolated disciplines that students typically do, and I did in myself as well, and Abel did as well. I studied a degree in psychology when I was a little bit older than you, and we then look at the problems that we're exposed to as a society, and they're far more complex than these isolated disciplines will allow us to solve. And you look at a problem like coronavirus, and what's interesting about this is that when I used to do this talk a couple of years ago, I started with depression because that's another one of these complex problems. And you can basically look at any societal issue, any large-scale problem that we face, and they're all so complex, and they involve perspectives from many different disciplines that we have to think about in order to solve these problems. And when I changed this talk, when coronavirus hit, we had these assumptions that it would require this interdisciplinary focus in order to tackle it. But at the time, there was, it was mostly focused on biology, epidemiology, medicine. There was a concern about, how we spread information to the public, how we influence behavior and things like that. And I think as the virus has continued, the need for an interdisciplinary approach has only increased, because we're starting now to see some of the broader societal effects of the pandemic. And we're also seeing that people are getting bored of staying in their homes and being locked up and all of these kinds of things. And so it really does require an interdisciplinary approach if we're to truly understand this problem and tackle it. As I say, you can approach sort of any problem that we face as a society from that perspective, and that's what our program is designed to sort of cater to, in the sense that we want to create a generation of young people who appreciate the complexity of the problems we're facing, and that are equipped to develop solutions to these problems as well. And so, whilst, as I said, our focus is on interdisciplinarity in the first instance, but there's also a focus on impact as well. So we don't want our students to just be locked in the library or in their room. We want them to be out in the real world, understanding and solving the problems that face society. And we support them in a number of different ways. And as I said, this is completely personalized. So there are currently 30 students in our program. We started small, and we've grown a bit bigger last year. Last year we recruited just over 20 students. And every single one of those students is studying their own degree. It's all different. They pick their own courses. And so it's an entirely personalized degree process. But we support our students through mentorship, first of all. So, you are mentored by me or by one of my colleagues, such as Abel. And we'll help you define what it is you're interested in, define what you're passionate about, and help you think about how you can explore that at HKU, and how you can tackle this in the real world in terms of what you'll go to do in your internship or exchange opportunities and things like that. And you're also supported more broadly by the BASC family as well. So our program is one of a few, and we all work quite closely and support one another. And this relationship will get stronger as time goes by. So as I say, you're personally mentored by, this is actually, I should have corrected this. In a sense, you are personally mentored by me. I have a really close relationship with all of our students. We don't talk via email, we talk via Google Chat or Hangouts or whatever you call it. So we talk pretty regularly. And we talk informally too. We talk like this, and we share YouTube videos of, stupid things. It's not just us talking about our degree. And within our conversations, we have two really big questions. The first is, what do you want to do? And I think the biggest question that I ask is, what can you do over the course of the 4 years that you are with us that you will be proud of when you look back afterwards? That for me is the most important question that I ask our students. And then rather than just leave them to sort of find out how to solve that on their own, we also ask, how do you want to get there? And how can I help you get there? How can I support you with that ambition? Because we understand that having a really personalized and unique degree can be quite frightening, because you are the only person doing what you do. There may be some other students, studying the same courses, or not maybe, there will be other students studying some of the same courses, but only you will study your combination of courses. And so we're there to support you in making those decisions and going through that journey. And as I say, you're not just supported by me, you're also supported by the broader family of BASC programs. So there are 5 programs at your level. There is another one, Social Data Science, which is for students who are a bit more advanced, who've done an associate's degree and come in later. But you'll do some courses with students from all of these programs. And that's another thing that's really nice about our program is, say, for example, you choose a social sciences degree, you'll interact with social sciences students. And so everybody is kind of similar. There is interdisciplinarity there, but everybody's kind of similar in their approach to their education. But in our program, you get to interact with those same social sciences students, but also you'll interact with students who are in the arts faculty, the science faculty, those studying about AI, students studying about design and creating solutions to problems, those studying about financial technology, fintech, other students who are more medically oriented, still studying global health and development. And through this, you really get to, learn new things and meet people who are maybe really different from yourself. And that can be a really stimulating environment to work in. By the time you get here, if you are applying next year or the year after, sorry about that. Let me close my emails. I guess you heard I just got an email. We will have a BASC society by that point. There have been some stumbling blocks in creating the society, but it's in development at the moment. And so that will be there. And we also have a common room where you can hang out and study together or just sit and chat. And hopefully, social distancing measures permitting, we'll also be able to hold some events as well. We can all sit together and eat pizza or something. So that would be really nice. But of course, this is a pandemic and the world is incredibly unpredictable right now. So what does your degree look like if you do it with us? So within the BASC, you do an interdisciplinary studies major. So you come into your degree with us already doing this 96 credit major here. And within that, and this is what I mean when I talk about some of the small limits that we place on our students. Basically, the courses that are available in the arts, science, and social sciences faculties are divided into these 2 pathways here: cultures and societies, and the physical world, and other sort of harder sciences. And all we dictate to students is that they take courses from these two pathways, and that they take an even number of courses from both pathways. And this is how we ensure that students are taking an interdisciplinary approach. And then through various courses that are core to the BASC, we try to encourage students to then translate that knowledge into something that can impact society. And the first of those is our methods course, which is all about how we investigate things, how we acquire new knowledge. And you'll interact with professors and understand, the current perspectives on research within the three faculties within this course. Then we have our tailor-made internships, which I'll tell you a lot more about later. We have our Capstone Project, which is the project you'll do at the end of your degree to really encapsulate everything that you've done and integrate that knowledge at the end of the degree period. And we think a lot about that, and we start working towards that within your second and third year, so that we can make it as impactful as possible. And then within our degree, so you'll do your interdisciplinary studies with us, and then you also have the opportunity to take a second major maybe, or maybe a minor, minors, or just some elective courses, and these are available across the university. And so there's a really diverse array of things that you can take here. And so with your second major or whatever else you study, you have the opportunity to either prepare yourself for some more specific postgraduate studies you might want to do, or you can just use this to complement your principal major with the first major. And so you can really support the insights that you've developed through this second major. And then in your core course with the whole BASC family, you'll take a course which is similar in some sense to our methods course, but is much more about what's going on across the faculties. And you'll be learning from various different professoriate staff about how they approach the acquisition of knowledge. And you'll talk more about the philosophy of science and things of that nature. And you'll also talk about really specific projects that are going on within the three faculties. Then you'll also take some common core courses, which I guess you've probably heard about before. These are interdisciplinary courses themselves and are available to all students at HKU. And these can be a real complement to your degree. Then you'll take some other BASC core courses. The first will equip you with basic programming and data science skills, which, as the world develops, are becoming more and more essential to everybody, even if you're not involved specifically in that field. And you'll also take a course in sustainable leadership, which I'll tell you about in a moment as well. And language enhancement courses to develop your linguistic skills. So in the sustainable leadership course, so this is the picture from the first year. This would probably give you anxiety to think of this many people stood close together nowadays. So this is a couple years old, this picture. And I don't have a picture from the recent version of this course because obviously we couldn't stand together like this. But rest assured, this course has ran twice now, and there are many more people who've taken it by now. But this course has changed over the years, and it is, in its current iteration, is really about creating solutions to really important issues that we face in society. And this is the course you'll do on your first week with us, and it goes through the first semester. So our current first years are doing this course right now, and it's really, really exciting and different. It's very different to any course you'll do at university. You hear from lots of speakers from big business or the non-profit sector about how they approach problems and what's important to them and those kinds of things. And then you'll actually do it yourself. You'll actually find solutions to these problems. And it takes a really interesting format. And so I've included this graphic because this is a graphic that was used this year, actually. So essentially, you all start at the beginning of the semester, right at the beginning. You're all on September 5th, 140 students. Hearing a bunch of talks and things like that. And by the next day, you've all gotten yourselves into all these various different teams, 26 different teams here. And you're each given $1,000. and you have to pick a problem that you're interested in. So some of our students chose mental health, some of them chose food waste, some of them chose issues about how to make sure students are eating well, physical health, all of these kinds of different things. And the problems they picked are relevant to HKU, but could be scaled up to the local or global context. And then you've got a few months then to develop your idea. However, whatever idea it is you come up with, you can talk with experts, you can talk with your tutors. And then on October 10th, so this just happened last weekend, you pitch your idea to myself and the other directors and a panel of experts. And then 7 ideas. This year, 7 ideas were picked. And those 7 ideas are each given then an average of 22,000 Hong Kong dollars to further develop their idea. And what's really, really fun also is that as sort of evidenced by these dots here, obviously some projects won't win at that stage, only 7 are picked. But your team, if you win, has the opportunity to recruit people who have dropped out of from the other teams. And so you can also then say, I really like that idea, that won. I want to go work for them. And I think I have something that can help them. Maybe you are an expert in computer science or something and can really help them. And so you have this like movement of students, and then everybody's locked in on these 7 projects and they've got some money to develop them. And then in a month they come back, so they haven't done this yet. They come back and then they pitch again in the 7 teams. And then 3 teams are picked and they get to really develop their idea and work with iDendron. So this is our university incubator. So iDendron will give students workspace to develop their idea. They give them access to real experts in the field, and they can really refine their idea if they want. And then they get an award. And then over the next semesters, they can develop their idea with a lot of support. So this is already in your first semester of university. Already we are already saying, you are going to be the future leaders and you are going to solve some problems in society. And so we want to start your degree by showing you that we really mean that. And we want to, set you off on that path right from the beginning. And I think that's really exciting and makes the degree really different. Okay. And you'll also do a tailor-made internship, as I mentioned. So this social innovation internship is available to all students within the social sciences faculty, which is where our degree is housed for administrative purposes, because obviously the degree is from the 3 faculties, but it has to sit somewhere. So this internship opportunity is available to students from within the faculty, but ours is slightly different in some ways, which I'll talk about. But there are these 3 options that you can take. You can have a non-local internship during the summer. So you could go away to another country to do your internship. You can do a local internship either during term, so you do it 1 day a week, or during summer, where you do it much more intensively, or something that's a bit more service leader oriented during summer. So these are a bit more specific internships. And these are credit-bearing internships where you'll be trying to integrate the knowledge that you've learned in our courses to trying to actually solve people on the ground out in the real world. And as I say, they're available during term time or summer, but we'll try and personally tailor them to your interests. So you can take these internships with one of our community partners. There are over 160 of these now, and they cover basically every company you can imagine, from huge corporations to small charities. There's some really great companies to work for here. What's different about our program is that whereas students usually compete for these positions, because of your close relationship with your mentor, with me, or with one of my colleagues, we can go and find you a specific opportunity based on your interests. So if you were to come to me and say, I'm really interested in X, but there isn't an opportunity there that really aligns with that interest, together we can go to that company, or we can approach a new company. We can create a new community partner and create a new opportunity just for you. So we've done that twice now. The first one is for one of our students, Anthea, who's really into marine science. And so we've created an opportunity for her at Ocean Park, or are in the process of creating it at the moment. She hasn't yet gone on the internship. And that's specific to her interests. And we have another student who's really interested in mental health and new technologies. And they'll go and work for a new app, a new mental health app in Hong Kong, and help them develop the app and do some of their mental health research and things like that. And so these are opportunities not available to all students at HKU, but we try and create those opportunities because we really want you to maximize on your personal goals whilst you're with us. So this is one of the biggest questions that we get, of course, because our program is a little different to most other programs, because there's so much freedom and it's so different. And also because it's so new, is what can I do with my degree? And my answer to this is there are infinite possibilities. You shouldn't think that our degree is limiting in any way. If anything, our degree opens up more doors than other degrees because your knowledge is really broad, and it can also be deep if you choose it to be deep. And so as a result of this, you're prepared for kind of anything. And so you can work in any of the typical jobs, because when we speak to people in industry, they're saying to us, we don't want people who have studied a really specific degree. We want students to come in who have, excellent critical thinking skills. They are a leader. They show initiative. They're able to think about and solve problems. They can think at a broader global perspective. And these are things which, I hope has been clear to you already, are really important to our program. And so people in industry really like our program. Well, of course, our program is too young at the moment. Our students haven't graduated yet. Our oldest students are only in their second year. But people in industry are excited to offer careers to our students when they graduate. And so there are limitless opportunities, really. And industry will be happy to have you. And I would say two other things. One is, some of you may want to go on to a postgraduate education, and a BASC will prepare you for postgraduate education, of course, because you're finishing with a really good quality degree. Some postgraduate programs will require that you've studied certain courses. So for example, I work in clinical psychology. So for me to do that, I have to have studied certain psychology courses. But you still have that option with us. You could do your BASc and gain all this fantastic interdisciplinary knowledge, and then do a major in psychology as well. And then you're prepared for that if that's what you want to do. And the same is true for other kinds of professional postgraduate programs. And the other thing I would say is that I don't know what kinds of jobs will exist when, 4 or 5 years from now. If you look at how quickly the world has changed with this pandemic, we don't know what kinds of jobs will exist afterwards. And the example I always give is that when I studied my degree, smartphones didn't exist. When I started the degree, they didn't exist. And so I couldn't have planned a career in any of the industries that have popped up because of the existence of smartphones. And, at that time it was like, yeah, I could be a computer programmer, but it wasn't clear like what the really exciting thing you could do was. And the same thing could happen when you start your degree with us. This thing could be created that just creates millions of different kinds of jobs. And so at least with our degree, you're sort of prepared for any future. You're not limited to being a psychologist or these kinds of things. You've studied a range of things, so you're prepared for any kind of future. And that's what we're aiming for. And so to summarize, our degree really helps you define and pursue your passions. It's about giving you the space to find out what you're passionate about, and then giving you the space to go out and explore that passion. And of course, we'll allow you to integrate knowledge from a range of different fields. We don't confine you to one specific area. The limits of your degree are based on you, not by us. We will let you kind of do anything you like and study anything you like with some small limits. And we're not just about studying. We want you to be using that knowledge to develop novel solutions to problems in society. And as I showed you with the Sustainable Leadership course and with other courses that pop up, and particularly your capstone project at the end of your degree, we give you that space to also create solutions to the problems you're interested in. And also across all of this, really, we hope you'll develop skills for leadership in whatever the world looks like tomorrow. So, admissions, I don't know who you are, I can't see you. But assuming that you are both JUPAS and non-JUPAS students, there are, of course, some JUPAS criteria for non-JUPAS students. It's slightly more complicated because there are lots of different kinds of courses you could be doing. What do they call them? I can't remember what they call them. GCSEs or IB or whatever. But in each case, so what happens is, because our program is so small, and our program is small so that we can give you lots of attention, we have to interview everybody because we get far more applicants than we have places, far more. But we take the time to interview everybody, and we give everybody that chance to show us at interview whether whether they already show some of the things we're looking for, passion, leadership potential, whether they find problems in society important, or whether they just want a degree. We try to assess all of these things. And so the most important thing is that if you put us in your band A, or you put us as one of your first choice, or one of the other sort of near choices, we will interview you. And you don't need to be worried about that. We're very nice people. And last year the interview was actually quite fun. We played some games. But if you have more questions about this, we can answer this in the Q&A. And that's it. So you can contact us if you have questions at basc@hku.hk, or you can ask them now verbally or in the chat, or you can visit our homepage. And I would also point you towards the homepage in particular, because if you visit the homepage, we have a sort of mock degree creator. So you can build your own degree within this little tool we've created. So you can try out lots of different combinations and see whether you can create a degree that's interesting to you. So the tool lists all of the potential courses you could do. But of course, it doesn't give lots of information. It just gives the title of the courses, because if we gave you all the information, it would be too much. But usually you can get a sense of the courses you can take from their title. So you could try and build your own degree if that is of interest to you. But if you have some questions, I can hang around for maybe another 10 minutes, and Abel will be around for a while as well to answer some questions if you have any. But thanks for your attention. Sorry about this light. I think let me close this blind a little bit.
So do you have any question about our curriculum, our course structure, or admission, or whatever? Just feel free to ask, whether in English or even in Cantonese. I can translate it into English so that Tom and everyone else will understand it.
If you don't have any questions, you could also just say hi. It's nice to not talk to oneself. Ooh. I think I accidentally unmuted you all.
Okay, so thank you, Yanok. So you're asking about the interview. When will the interview be held, and what is it about? So I assume, Yanok, you are a JUPAS candidate, is it? Or maybe you can just unmute yourself.
Yes. So it will, the timing of the interview will depend on whether you're a JUPAS candidate or non-JUPAS candidate, because there are different times at which we receive the information that you've applied.
Yeah.
So I think it's earlier than it was last year, right? I think, did we say it will be in April or May. Did we say that?
Yeah, roughly about May, I guess. Usually it's right after your DSE exam, or maybe around the end of your DSE exam, because we know that you will be working very hard for your examination, and usually, but actually depends on the DSE schedule as well. So,
And it also it will depend on, of course, whether you put us in Band A or not. In the first place, because so I guess you can change your choices after a little while, maybe after you do some of the exams and you think you did well or something like that. So sometimes we will interview people much later if they move us into their Band A. But so if you put us in your Band A, then you'll get interviewed pretty early. I've had a question in private.
or maybe let me finish another question about the interview. But basically, just like what Tom has mentioned, we'll assess whether you really like the program or whether you're just looking for a degree, just for applying a job. And then we'll also assess your personality, like whether you can become a good leader or has any potential to become a leader, and whether you're interested in learning different subjects, because as you know, this is an interdisciplinary curriculum, and we hope all of the students can make good use of the flexibility in our degree. So as you probably can see, our degree actually receives a good number of candidates who want to make good use of the freedom in university, because as Tom has mentioned, we actually every single of you studying our program will be doing a personalized degree. So if you're not using that kind of freedom, but if you are just want to pursue a very traditional degree, then maybe it would not be the best case for everyone. So yeah, roughly is about this. Do you have anything to add, Tom?
Yeah, I would just add, really just because I know that students are nervous about the interview process. You really shouldn't be nervous about it, and it's not an exam. In fact, if you can come and just be yourself, then we can see that, and that's really what we want to see. We don't want to see you in interview mode or in exam mode. We just want to have a chat. And I think that the two things, I can tell you what our students now have, and that's essentially what we're looking for. The students that we have at the moment, one thing that they all have in common is that they are all passionate about learning in general. So our students are not typically like, I'm really passionate about psychology or, a specific discipline. Like that's exactly what I was like when I did my degree. If I were to interview somebody now who said, I'm really passionate about psychology, I would be like, is there anything else you're interested in besides psychology? Like, would you be interested in other disciplines? Or, even, and we do get this actually. I would say, if you are really interested in psychology, are you interested in complementing it with some insights from other areas? And to be honest, when I was your age, I was just like, I want to be a psychologist. But to my detriment, I think that the reality of the world is that if you can add some other stuff into that to, make yourself unique and different and make your insights really novel, then that's what we want to hear in this program. And that's what we're excited about. So we want students to be passionate about learning in general. And our students also are, by and large, quite sociable, and are open to talking to anybody. Some of our students are definitely more introvert, so don't worry if you think you're an introvert, that's okay. But our students who are introverted usually want to be more outgoing. They want you to, if you engage them about what they're passionate about, they'll talk for a long time. They really want to be more outgoing. If you're introverted and you're happy being an introvert and you just want to sit in your bedroom and learn forever, our program is probably not for you. But if that's the way you are, that's completely fine. There are lots of other degree programs. But our program is mostly for students who, want to be part of a community and want to be a part of something where everybody is learning together. And that's what we're looking for, really. So you just have to show that usually. And you'd be surprised some students don't. Some students don't show that into. So somebody's asked me a really specific question that actually I can't answer because I have not encountered this issue before with SATs. So I don't want to say your name because you asked me privately, but also I think I would say your name wrong. But the person who messaged me privately about SATs, can you email the address on screen, basc@hku.hk? Email us this question and we can speak to our administrative team who know much more about this stuff. Because with different high school qualifications, all of the little criteria differ, and I can't keep track of it all. So do ask about that, and we'll follow up by email. So the question about career pathways. So as I said in the presentation, the career pathway that you choose will be based on the courses that you take, really. And it can go two ways. You can approach something in an interdisciplinary way, but you're always heading in one direction. So the example I just gave, you could be somebody who studies some psychology, but complements it with, some insights in politics and public administration, sociology, some harder biology, doing some aspects from art and literature and all these kinds of things. So you go into psychology, but you do it in a really interdisciplinary way. So those pathways, those quite specific pathways, are of course open to you if that's the way you want to go. And this works for lots of different disciplines. It's not confined to psychology, of course. You could do the same with geography or sociology or biology or physics or whatever. And then there are the more general pathways. If you want to do any job in the real world, our partners in industry are telling us they want students who've studied a broad range of subjects, that they are not confined to one specific area. I think when students are thinking about their degree, they think that the job they want to do now will be the job they want to do in 4 years. And for the most part, that is not true. Usually students' interests change over the course of the degree. So in one sense, our degree prepares you for those changes because you are still keeping a broad focus. So the options open to you when you finish a degree are much broader than if you've studied geography. And then it's kind of like, what do you do if not move into that field? So in a sense, that there are, of course, specific pathways available to you if you plan it that way, but also there is, potentially limitless pathways available to you also, because of the nature of the degree, because it's so, there's so much freedom. If somebody's got a quick question, I can stay for another quick question, but I will also have to leave to do another chat. That's a school.
Yeah, but I will be staying to answer your questions afterwards.
And as Abel mentioned, if you want to ask a question in Cantonese or in simple, or I guess you can speak. Can you speak simple? Can you read simple Chinese? I guess you can. Simplified or traditional. So if you want to write it in simplified or traditional, or write it in English, Abel is skilled enough to understand all of these languages.
Oh, I just want to mention one more thing about the career path. Actually, besides the program or the courses that we are offer you in a program, actually you can also declare a second major in any other aspect that's allowed in Hong Kong U. So at HKU, we have about 80-something majors options. That means you can declare a major in, let's say, in environmental engineering or in basically in anything. So other than being a doctor or nurse or something else that requires a really specific degree, basically you can just study whatever with our 96 credits of 3 electives so that you can go into your degree with insights from other disciplines that you gain from our degree. So I think our career pathway is basically unlimited, except that if you want to become a doctor or nurse or a pharmacist, then these probably require a specific degree, but I think for most other career options, you don't have to worry about that. Basically, if you look into the job advertisement for entry level, let's say management trainee or whatever, Basically, they just require a degree without any specification. So I think you can just look into that, and you will see how many possibilities are there are open for you.
Yeah, and most of our so you don't have to declare a second major until you leave university. Really, you can take the courses within a second major up to that point, but you don't have to really specify it till the end. Um, and so most of our students do have in mind to take a second major at the moment, because there's another thing that they want more detail in. So our major gives them the breadth, and then in a second major they get that real depth that they want also. And so the benefit of doing this, because one question you could ask is, should I just, if I want to do some engineering, shouldn't I just get an engineering degree? The benefit of doing it through us is that you get the mentoring, you get the freedom, because you can always change your mind as well without having to transfer to another degree. You could just start taking other courses. And so you get all the perks of the BASC, but you still get your engineering degree if that's what you want at the end. Okay, I think I will have to leave, but please do, Abel will be here, I guess, for another 15 minutes maybe, if you're lucky, and he'll be able to answer questions if you have them. But thanks for your time, and hopefully I'll see you in interview.